realize, oh my gosh, I'm where I want to be, even though it's completely different than I thought it was going to be. But it's got all of the checks that I wanted, and I feel so good about it. And yet there's no way I could have ever predicted that this is what it was going to look like. Hi everyone, I'm Marianne Mitchell. Welcome to Whole Artist Mastery. So if you're like me, setting goals has always been a difficult thing. I find that when I try to make a plan and follow the plan and have the plan actually come to fruition, it's always a disappointment. So I'm going to share with you today how I've come to see the practice of making abstract art the most efficient way to help me set artistic goals that are successful. So this is how it works. So when you're making an abstract painting, through the years I have come up with a particular way of describing how you go from start to finish. So if you're familiar at all with any of the videos that I've been offering over the last year plus the Whole Artist Mastery website, you will understand what I'm talking about when I mention the 4 phases. And if you're unaware of what I'm talking about and you'd like to have a guide that sort of walks you along with this video, I invite you to go to the Whole Artist Mastery website and put your email in and get the introductory free downloadable guide. It's a PDF that outlines the Whole Artist Mastery philosophy and the 4 phases. So what are the 4 phases and how can they guide us through our decision-making process and setting goals in our lives for our artistic practice, for our paintings, and for everything else in our life? So the first phase is reckless abandon. So in a painting, that means that you check your mind at the door and you let your intuitive voice, your emotional being, that connection to the unknown, allow you to just choose colors, make lines, create texture without thinking about it, without having a preconceived idea of what you want, and just let it flow. That's really what it is. It's being in the flow without your mind getting in the way. So how does that correlate to goal setting? Well, for me, the first thing I do when I'm thinking about, well, what do I want for my life? What do I want for my practice? What do I want for my paintings? I go through what I call a wish list, or, I daydream, or take a long walk, think about, as expansively as I possibly can. What would I want if I could have anything for my practice as a painter in my paintings? What would it be? I'll let you know what the answers are later. I've yet to answer those questions because I'm still in that reckless abandon phase where I'm without really thinking about it and I'm just feeling it. But at a certain point, you come out of that phase of wish listing or daydreaming and you think, okay, so what's realistic here? What is it that I must have in my life? Similarly, when you finish doing reckless abandon in a painting, you look at what you have and you say, okay, what do I like here? What do I dislike? Is there anything that I can go forward with? Is there anything that's really hooking me into what I want this painting to be about? So if you think about that in terms of goals, okay, so what do I have on my wish list that I could see is really attainable? What's completely, off the table? What's practical? What's unrealistic? What's doable? What is something that I absolutely must do and I'm going to figure out a way to make it happen? And what are some things that maybe not so much? So that's critically analyzing the information that you dreamed up in your reckless abandon phase. So from there, you move into what I call integration, which is all about integrating your intuitive emotional being with your conscious decision-making self. So in a painting, that means that as you go forward in developing the painting, you want to make sure that you're still connected to it emotionally as you're making compositional decisions. So that's also the case when you're thinking about what parameters your goals have and how you feel about those parameters. So for instance, if you really want to get into a particular gallery and you have your heart set on that, and you know that, or having a gallery or having gallery representation is something that you just feel in your bones you really, really want to have, then start thinking about ways that you can get into those galleries that are galleries that are best for you. Another idea might be, I want to go bigger. I feel that my paintings need to be bigger. So what kind of practical decisions do I need to make to go bigger in my work? Maybe I need to expand the area that I'm painting, or maybe I need to explore different substrates that would allow me to go bigger than paper that I'm working on. Things like that. So that you are honoring the feeling of what you want to do in the decision-making process that you are using to make what you want actually come to pass. So then the last phase in finishing a painting or developing a painting is actually finishing a painting. So how do you know that you're there? And does it look exactly like what you expected it to look like? Well, in abstract painting, it's impossible to have a painting be exactly what you expected from start to finish. Similarly, with goal setting, in this particular way, where you realize, oh my gosh, I'm where I want to be, even though it's completely different than I thought it was going to be. But it's got all of the checks that I wanted, and I feel so good about it, and yet there's no way I could have ever predicted that this is what it was going to look like. So I bet you know what I'm talking about. And so the best way to really have this method work for you in terms of setting your goals and achieving them is to know yourself as well as you possibly can. In other words, how do you work emotionally? How do you think in intellectual terms? And what kind of physical environments are most supportive of who you are as a human being? And maybe you have some physical challenges. Maybe you have other challenges in your life. Maybe you are extremely gifted, athletically speaking. In other words, put together the things that you're good at, that you have some challenges with. And one great way to start seeing how all these things are connected and how they can work for you is by also going to the introductory guide that maybe you've already signed up for. And in that guide, I have what I call your personal treasure hunt, which is an outline for you to get to know yourself and understand how your physical life, your intellectual life, and your emotional life all integrate within you, so that the kind of work that you're making comes out of your whole being. Similarly, the goals that you are setting for yourself are true to who you are. As cliche as that may sound, there's a lot of truth to that the more authentic we are to who we are, the more we know ourselves, the more we can be authentic, the more that can serve us in knowing where we want to go in our artistic practice and how we can get there. So the last thing I will share with you that I have found over the years very helpful, and that is years ago somebody said to me, you know, there's a difference between planning and preparation. So when you plan from start to finish, you have a very clear idea of, or very clear understanding of where you are and where you ultimately want to be and will get to. That's very comforting in one respect, but in another respect it's very controlling, and it sets you up for potential disappointment if the plan doesn't unfold according to plan. If you set yourself up through preparing for where you want to go and getting pieces in your life together so that when something happens that is, oh, okay, that's what I want, you're ready to go because you are already prepared with your artist statement, with your website, with connections that you've talked to about, you know, if you are in a gallery that you think would be really great for me, let me know, and you're ready to go, as opposed to you choosing a gallery, going after them, and realizing that it's the wrong place for you to begin with. I'm using galleries as an example, but this is applicable to all aspects of your practice, whether you're interested in showing your work or really just interested in making it for yourself. If you're interested in making work purely for yourself, then think about, well, what kinds of goals, or where do I want to be with my work in terms of my own self-growth and exploration, and then prepare yourself for the eventuality of getting where you want to be without knowing exactly how you got there and what it really looks like on the other side of when you're finally there. I hope that makes sense to you. So enjoy looking at the introductory guide, looking at how the 4 phases work to make a painting, and how you can apply that same philosophy to getting yourself where you want to go as an artist in the next year, in the next few months, maybe even just for the next day. So I hope this was helpful. I look forward to hearing or seeing your comments in the comment feed below, and I'll catch you next time.